Hi
friends.
guys, how are we today?
Welcome to it. It's a good one today. Thank you for joining us
Yes,
again.
so
We love y'all
excited.
so
We do love
much.
you so much. You guys are awesome. Today we do have a really good episode. We are talking all about standards, what they mean, what they dictate, how they shape your life, and how they help you or can hurt you from meeting your goals. It's a
Which
good
I
one.
think is a fabulous tie-in. If you didn't watch our mindset episode, our most recent one, it is phenomenal. I
Mhm.
suggest you go watch it before you listen to this one because it all goes hand in hand at the end of the day. So let's get it kicked off. Why not with an aggressive but effective statement, as we always do, good old fashioned. Look at what you're tolerating. Your success isn't dictated by your goals, your motivation, or your plan. Your success is dictated by your standards. Your standards determine everything: your health, your job, your mindset, your relationships. It's all a reflection on what you decide to tolerate. The question I have for you is, how much are you settling for? What are you accepting is good enough? How much further would you be stopped? If you how much further would you be if you stopped settling and started demanding greatness? I love that last part. How much further would you be if you stopped settling and started demanding greatness? I think that just goes across the board in everything I said: your health, your mindset, just your relationships in general with yourself and your friends all around you. All of that goes into where you are in life at the end of the day. And are you settling for what's going on, or is this actually the greatest thing ever and they are helping support you at the end of the day?
Yeah, absolutely. I like to say that your standards are your ceiling. So, what does that actually mean? Your standards are going to directly impact how high you can perform, how high you can go, how far you can travel in reaching your goals. Your standards are going to kind of set that cap for you. If you have standards that reflect greatness and great things and that are going to help you accomplish these big goals because you're not settling for mediocre things, you're going to get way further in life because your standards demand greatness of everything around you. If you're settling for like things that are mediocre across the board, your life is going to feel mediocre. Period. End of story. It all runs together, just like Jill and I talked about last week, and even the week before. What you're not changing, you're choosing. You're doing this to yourself. The way that you choose to set your standards is directly going to impact how you show up for yourself, also how the people in your life show up for you, and how all of that works together to help push you towards that big goal that we talked about way back in the beginning in episode 1. The other thing that I kind of want to dive into a little bit really quick is that there's a difference between what you tolerate because of your standards and then what you want. I think people confuse the two. I think it's really easy to sit there and say that you have these insane standards. The first thing that comes to my mind is like people's standards for their own health and their own bodies. It's really easy for people to say that health is a huge standard of mine. Well, is it? Because your lifestyle doesn't reflect it. You just told me you were too tired to go to the gym this morning. So is it actually a standard or is it something that you want? There's a difference between the two, not the same. The difference is that standards are something that you enforce. So, a healthy body, clean eating, a physically active body are all things that you can want, but it's not a standard unless you're enforcing that in your day to day. So, showing up for yourself to go move your body in the morning before you go to work, showing up for yourself by eating clean meals that are going to set your body up for success. You're enforcing that standard, you're enforcing that boundary. You're not tolerating things that are hurting you.
Standards are great and you need to enforce them, but what kills them at the end of the day? It's this little thing called toleration, and I can't stand it. And that's when you tolerate just the bullshit that contradicts your standards. You can be all about one thing, but if you're tolerating and accepting something else that contradicts that, your standards don't mean anything and you can't enforce them.
Mm-hmm.
So I say that toleration is a silent killer at the end of the day, because what you have in your life, no matter if you say that your standard is this and this and this and this, but if you're accepting something at the end of the day that contradicts that, your standards no longer are enforced at the end of the day, and you are accepting it, inviting it into your life, and you are becoming that slowly, whether you think that or not. All of these excuses that you have, well, it's okay to tolerate this, it's okay, it's not affecting my standard at all. But what happens when you miss that one workout? What happens when you oversleep? Great, I'll make it up the next day. No, it's kind of a silent killer. And what do I mean by that? It creeps up on you. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't happen
Slowly but surely.
overnight at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day. Like, oh, I'll go out and party this one night and I'll just go to the gym in the morning and sleep in. Don't miss the gym. Great. It's okay. I'll go the next day. Sometimes that happens, sometimes that doesn't. But at the end of the day, it's easier to skip and not hold yourself accountable when you miss the gym. that's because you're tolerating the things that are not helping you reach your goals at the end of the day. So all those excuses, they creep in slowly. They don't just kill you overnight. Silent killer, and that's why I call it toleration. But before you know it, you're not in the life that you wanted, because all of those things that you tolerate, they build up to the point that it's just like you're living in that same life that you were in, maybe even further back than you started
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's built on compromises that you didn't mean to make, because you're just thinking it's okay to tolerate it, but it's actually impacting you more than you understand. You never would have made the excuses if you were grounded in your high standards. You would have never tolerated the bullshit if you were grounded in your high standards and if
Yep.
they truly were important to you. So don't make the excuses. Don't tolerate things that contradict your standards, because it's just putting you back at the end of the day at
Yeah,
this.
absolutely. If health in your life is a standard for you, then you show up and you are healthy. There is a way to implement balance, but I do totally agree with what Jill was talking about. Toleration being a silent killer, and everything in your life, whether it's tolerating things that other people are doing, tolerating things that you yourself are doing. If you have the standard for behavior, for performance, and you start to get comfortable showing up as less than that, it is going to silently kill you, and it is going to inevitably stop you from meeting your goals. And I love what Jill said at the end about how before you know it, you've made all these compromises that you didn't even mean to make, and you're actually further behind your goals than you even started. I actually really love that. I think one of the hard parts about setting really high standards and making sure that you're not tolerating the bullshit anymore and actually enforcing them is that standards and sacrifice go hand in hand. You can't necessarily have one without the other. Sometimes to set really high standards, you have to make sacrifices by cutting out the things in your life that are lower than the standard that you have. You have to be willing to sacrifice average or below average if your goal is great. If your goal is to be all the way up here, but everything in your life reflects like a little bit further below that, you need to understand that you can't it's not a best of both worlds situation. You need to get comfortable sacrificing things to have the life that you want. You need to understand that some of these standards that you're going to need to have to meet your goals are going to cost you things like your old life, some of your old friends, your comfort zone, your excuses, all of it. You can't have one without the other here.
It's scary and it's uncomfortable. What do I always say? All my friends know this. Get comfortable with the
Yep.
uncomfortable. It is my favorite thing to say in the entire world. You're going to have to do it regardless. It's just going to come. Some uncomfortable change is going to come your way, whether it's coming now or it's going to face plant you later. You're going to have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. So you might as well start now. But when you set these high standards and start to realize that things in your life are not aligning that they used to be because you would set those high standards for you, you're going to have to make those sacrifices, whether it's friendship, whether it's a lifestyle change, like what I'm saying is your eating habits, your drinking habits, or maybe your drug use. I don't know. Whatever you're in those lifestyle changes, you're going to have to sacrifice that to reach the life that you want. And like, it all becomes very clear when it's dead weight at the end of the day, and that you might need to cut it, because when you start actively living out those lifestyle and setting those hard standards and grounding yourself in them, like I said, you're going to start to figure out, oh, that wasn't helping me. I was tolerating that and I don't need that anymore. Like, I think I can move on past that. I can give you an example. All of the people in my life know that I took a 360 spin around turn come August of 2024. It was kind of a wild time for Jill. So Jill took a 360 turn with it because I might as well. It was fun. I had all these goals and I realized everything I was tolerating was not at all helping me reach this. This past summer, I had all these goals to just become a fitness goddess. I loved working at my studio. I wanted to be that Legree instructor goddess that everyone looked up to and loved. She was so healthy, fit, took care of herself. I couldn't do that by going out and drinking every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe even a Monday, because that did happen. Sorry, mom and dad, I love you. But it did. It happened. I tried to meet NLA Chop on a Monday because I was drunk. Because, yeah, why not? Don't do that. That was a thing I tolerated. Oh, it's okay in moderation. That was not moderation, by the way. Please don't. Whatever I was doing was not moderation. At the end of the day, I was tolerating all of this, saying it'll be okay. I'll just get back to it on Monday. I did not get back to it on Monday. I tried to meet NLE Chop on Monday. And then on Tuesday, I was just exhausted from my events from the past weekend. I was not at all anywhere near what I wanted to do. So I had to slowly start cutting some things things out. I had to make those sacrifices. 75 Hard's really helped me give me the structure to be able to cut out the alcohol and cut out all of the nights out that I didn't need to be doing to reach my goals. Now I'm able to wake up at 4 a.m., go to the gym when I need to, and reach all my goals. And I feel so much better and I feel more just successful in the life that I'm living in. It is possible. Was it easy? Absolutely not. I had a lot of uncomfortable conversations with my friends of being like, that's just not what I'm going to do tonight. And they're like, what do you mean you're not going to go out tonight? What do you mean? It's like, I'm just not. And they're either going to stay with you if they're true friends, or they're either going to look at you differently. And that's okay. That's just the choice you're willing to make. But look at it this way: you're working towards a life that you want to achieve. I think that's a much more beautiful thing than losing someone that's not going to support you and you thought was your friend. Friends should always support you regardless of
Yeah.
anything at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I was just about to say, someone is always going to have something to say about anything that you're doing, whether it's when you're showing up for yourself, whether it's when you're absolutely trashing your life. People always have opinions. It's just the way that it goes. People are always going to have something to say. So I don't want anyone to be discouraged by people having negative things to say. Like, I don't know that she has any friends because she prioritizes herself and doesn't go to the bar on a Tuesday night. You know what? Like, good. Maybe it's a good thing that you're not going out to the bar on a Tuesday. Maybe it's a good thing that you're prioritizing yourself. Don't let the things that people say hold you back from becoming the person that you're trying to be. Don't let the things that people say dictate the standards that you hold yourself to. Don't let the things that people say dictate the standards that you hold the other people in your life to also. The only person that's actually going to feel the result of your low standards or lack of standards or inability to enforce your standards is you. We have talked about that a couple times in a couple different episodes on this show. The only person that is going to feel the weight of your inability to take the action, of your inability to enforce your standards, of your inability to achieve greatness is you. It's not going to be the person talking behind your back saying that they don't think you have any friends because you're not at the bar on a Tuesday night. It's you. You have to hold the weight of that.
Also, at the end of the day, it's just noise. That's what I like to
Seriously.
just talk about: the excuses and what people say behind my back. It's just noise. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. What matters is how I view myself at the end of the day. And I know the people that love and care about me the most will support me. And I have that support group. And it's kind of shown people's true colors when you change and you can truly see
It really does.
who supports you and who
It really
doesn't. And
does.
it's a weird, awkward feeling and a weird pill to swallow, but it's a blessing in disguise because you know who you can count on at the end of the day.
You don't want to be around people that only support you when you're the worst version of yourself. We'll dive into this one a little bit later. I have a lot of good things I want to talk about with that topic. I want to kind of circle back to specifically standards for a little bit and kind of hammer down on those, what they look like, why they matter. There are three big reasons, in my opinion at least, that standards are super important to have and enforce. Not only standards, but super high standards. First one being they protect you from settling for less than you deserve. What does that look like practically? If my standard is to be average or to show up for my body and work out in the morning most of the time, I'm settling for less than what I deserve. I'm settling for less than what I'm capable of. I'm not showing up in a way that matches my full potential. I'm actively settling by not choosing to set the high standard for myself and my own performance. So it protects you from settling for less than you deserve, less than what you're capable of. It also, like we were just kind of talking about, it filters out the weak links in your life. It's really going to show you people's true colors. It's really going to show you why your friends are friends with you. I know that Jill had some experience realizing that some of her friends were only friends with her because they went and drank together. And that's not a real friend that Jill wants to have in her life. It shows you, kind of highlights what we were talking about. It makes it really, really hard to ignore what things you should not be tolerating anymore because it shows you, makes it painfully obvious some things that you don't need to be carrying in your life anymore. The last thing is that it holds you accountable and aligns you with your goals. When you have these really high standards and you put in the work to enforce them, it's a lot harder to kind of take steps back and fall off track and stop working towards that goal because your standard is greatness. Therefore, you're working towards this goal because the standard is greatness. It's not like I'm just working towards this goal. It's like, this is the standard. This is what I do. This is who I am. This is how I show up, and this is how I perform.
So there's the big why behind standards. You know, Ellie and I love the why
Love a good
people,
why.
but you're probably sitting there like, where do I even start? That's a great why of why I should do them, but like, where do I start? We'll give you some examples. Don't you worry. You know us.
We
We
always
always have
do.
something. First one, your circle, your people in your life, just who you hold close to you. I'm not saying you have to immediately chop the block, like cut people off. It's not The Bachelor. You don't send people home. I'm saying refine it a little bit. You can still be friends with people, but who are you going to keep in your closest circle?
Yeah.
Those are the people that are going to
Well,
support
what is it
you.
that they say? Like, you are a reflection of the 5 people that are closest to you.
Yeah.
So, what standard are the people around you holding themselves to, and how is that impacting the standard of you that you have in your own life for your own friends?
So at the end of the day, again, I'm not saying cut everyone off. You can still be friends with everybody,
It's
but
just
think of
part
it
of
as
it.
a little bit of a type multiple circles, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Who you're going to keep in your smaller one, who you're going to keep in the second largest one, and then go from there. You know what I'm saying? You know that diagram that we're
Yeah.
thinking of in my head. I can think about it. The circles continuously get bigger as you draw them out. So think about who you want to have in your small inner circle to support you. Continuously grow it out. I think that's a great visual to have, and I think that's a great way where you're not like, oh my gosh, I have to sacrifice a friendship to make this life that I change. You can still have them, just maybe keep them at a distance in your brain a little bit. How you show up for yourself is a great other way where you need to set standards. So I set many standards for myself when I set up in the day. All of those standards for your life is just how you show up for everything at the end of the day. I want to show up as my best self. I don't care what it is. I don't want to show up sleep
Yeah.
deprived. I don't want to show up hungover. I don't want to show up looking like a mess. I look like a mess right now, but minor details.
Jill.
I'm just saying I would rather show up presentable and ready to do my best work at any point in time of the day.
Well, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
So, if your standard is greatness, how are your little daily habits and actions reflecting that standard? Do they? Is the question.
Yeah. How you handle adversity is a great thing. Your standard for discipline when things get hard is what separates you.
Mhm.
Things are going to get hard. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, I can't tell you that things are going to be, it's all going to be easy because that's not true. Everyone suffers different hardships. Some are harder than others, and that just happens across the board on all human beings, unfortunately. But it's how you choose to handle it. Are you going to sit there? My standard is I'm going to be there for everybody that needs it. And I'm also going to support myself. What do I need? This is a hard time, but I'm going to power through it. And I'm still going to show up for myself and be the best version of it. It may not be to the full potential, but I'm still going to not mope around in bed. But that also may not be your standard. But set a standard because it is important to how you're going to handle that. So you know what to expect, and the people around you know what to expect at the end of the day. So just think about that for a second. How are you going to handle it?
Yeah. At the end of the day, setting standards and choosing what those standards are going to be, and then how you are going to enforce them. It's not a one size fits all. This is not like a band-aid that you can slap on top of something. It's going to be different for everybody. This is why we've kind of chosen to talk about this topic a little bit later on in this series. That we start with the big goals, that we start with owning the things in your life, and then we transition to showing up for yourself and why that's so important. This is going to be different for everybody. So take everything that you know about setting goals and building the life of your dreams and use that to help you refine these standards if you need to. Again, this is not a one size fits all situation. So just spend a lot of time thinking and reflecting about what your standards are, how you want to show up for yourself, how you want the people in your life to show up for you, and what all of that looks like. Because, again, like we were just talking about, it is going to be totally different for everybody else. Jill's standards are different than mine. We both have the same why. We're both grounded in wanting to be better. We just do that a little bit differently based on what works for us. Standards are so, so, so important to set. You've heard the why, you've heard where you set them. Here's what actually matters, though: set them, make sure that you're grounded in them, and then also enforce them, because a standard doesn't mean shit if you're just going to say that it's your standard and it's not. A question that I was kind of thinking about when we were talking through things we wanted to talk about in this episode today was, if you have all of these standards, right? If someone watched your life for a week, just like kind of from a distance, they like follow everything that you do for a whole week, what would they say that your standards are, just based alone on what they saw of you throughout that week? So, kind of like bring it back to Jill's example that she gave in the beginning. If she's always said that her standards are health and fitness, and then someone watches her this summer last school year for a week and she's out partying on Dixon trying to meet NLE on a Monday, are they going to come home and say, yeah, that girl's standard is health? Or are they going to come home and say that girl's standard is
I was a
NLE
party girl
chocolate? Like,
to
you know what I'm
everybody.
saying? Um, it's not about what you want your standards to be. It's what you actually enforce, what you actually expect of yourself and the people around you, what you actually hold yourself to, and force them. Because, like I just said, a standard doesn't mean shit if you just say that it's your standard. It's like saying that I want to be healthy and then not doing anything to be healthy. You have to actually enforce it. Your life reflects the standards that you have.
At the end of the day, Ellie's right. I didn't enforce the standards I had set for myself, and everyone caught me lacking a little bit, and I caught myself very lacking, and I hated it. So I started to enforce my standards. Life looks a little bit differently, but I could not be more happier. I've never felt great. I've never just been in a great place overall at the
Yeah.
end of the day. I just feel so good. That's the end of the day. I'm very lucky, very grateful girl. So my hard truth to close, you are not stuck. I've said it so many times
So many
on the
times.
Instagram, on the videos,
Everywhere. Tattooed
everywhere.
on my forehead.
Guys, just I need a QR code tattooed on my forehead with all my sayings. Get comfortable with the uncomfortable, and like are
Audit
not
your
stuck.
life.
Audit your life, all the things. It's just all gonna go on my forehead.
Yep.
Just a SIM card. Like it's just a SIM card. That's all I'm
Like
saying.
tap to pay, but
Tap
like
to pay, but you tap to get all of Jill's
all the
quotes.
knowledge. That's a great idea.
That's it. No, it's really not. Jeff Bezos will come for us.
Oh boy.
You're just accepting way less than you should. So start accepting more for yourself. You owe it to who you are as a human being. I also say that all the time. Live to your full potential. You are a beautiful gift of a human being in every way. So why are you settling for less? Why are you giving yourself less? Why are you giving your life less? Life is, you only get one shot, guys. You only
Yeah,
get one shot,
absolutely.
and make it beautiful in your own way, in your own crazy way, however you want to do that. Just make it all beautiful. You can do it. Don't settle. That's the first way to do it. Hold yourself to high standards, because at the end of the day, low standards, you're just mentally going to be drained, and it's just not going to reflect well on you as a human being. I know we don't want that for you.
Mm-mm.
I hope you
Nope.
don't want that for yourself.
Nope.
You can do it.
You have
Promise.
too much potential to just be okay with being average for the rest of your life. Get up, set the big goals, do the hard things, set the big standards, and then enforce them.
Life is short. Dream big. Make those standards high.
Yep.
You've got nothing to lose.
You
Why
got
not?
it. You got like a whole checklist. You know how to set the big goals. You know how to stop making excuses for your inability to show up for the goals. You know how to start showing up for yourself. You know how to stop doing the hard things to yourself. And now you know how to set the high standards that reflect it. It's like your little blueprint for dreaming, dreaming, dreaming really, really, really big.
So we hope that y'all have started dreaming. If not, text us. We're more than
Yeah,
welcome
absolutely.
to start and help you. But also for those that have started your blueprint, I want to know what you were working on. Tell
Let us know.
us.
Keep
Let
us
us know.
posted.
Keep us posted. Y'all are so awesome. We're going to see you on Wednesday.
Yep. We love you so much. Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Bye.